Hugh Jackman is 100% on Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' side and can't wait to be deposed.
Well, Hugh Jackman has just spoken out, sort of, and he's 100% behind Blake and Ryan. Now back to Hugh. It sickens him that they're being dragged through the mud, when in his view, they're the victims in all of this. He's been very supportive behind the scenes, and he's already defending them to anyone who will listen. So going in front of the court is no worry for him. I'm sorry, why aren't you 10 toes in these streets?
It was actually Blake Lively, her husband, her PR team, coming at me because we had creative differences over the film.
Jackman just broke his silence. He's now throwing his full support behind Blake and Ryan in their wild legal war with Justin Baldoni. But what pushed him to jump in now? Word on the street is that Blake and Ryan's picture-perfect marriage ain't all roses. Behind the red carpet smiles is a tangled Lavender love situation packed with secrets, and the real story is spilling out fast. It all blew up after Justin Baldoni, actor and director, dropped a bombshell lawsuit that's shaking the whole industry. Some of Hollywood's biggest names, including Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, are now caught in the middle of some serious drama. What started off as quiet whispers about creative tension and drama on set exploded into a fierce court showdown. Baldoni is accusing Lively and Reynolds of making up false claims about sexual misconduct, straight-up defamation, and plotting to crush his rep in the industry. This isn't just Hollywood gossip, this is a no-holds-barred fight. And right there in the middle, Hugh Jackman. He and Ryan have always been Hollywood's favorite playful rivals, trading jokes online, playfully dragging each other in interviews, and teaming up for epic movies like Deadpool and Wolverine. But now, Jackman's not joking. He's picking sides and it's getting messy. Their bromance used to look bulletproof, but now, that polished image is falling apart fast. Jackman's done laughing. He's getting ready to speak out. And what he might reveal could shake Ryan Reynolds' whole empire to the core. Jackman and Reynolds were once the unbeatable duo. Their public back and forth, it looked effortless, funny, clever, and full of brotherly love. But insiders are saying the whole thing was just a performance. Behind the scenes, Jackman had been fed up with Reynolds' non-stop antics for way longer than anyone guessed. And the final straw was right around the corner. People close to Jackman claim the so-called feud wasn't just for laughs. What fans thought was harmless teasing, Jackman allegedly saw it as a power play. Reynolds trying to control the spotlight every chance he got. Reynolds, the ultimate showman, lived for being the center of attention. And he made sure Jackman stayed in his shadow, whether it was during interviews, press runs, or viral videos. Every moment was allegedly set up to make Reynolds shine while Jackman played the quiet sidekick. One moment that really crossed the line when Reynolds used a press event to take a jab at Justin Baldoni live and loud. Jackman was reportedly pushed to go along with it, even though the whole thing clashed with what he stood for. Jackman always saw himself as someone who lifted others up, not someone who tore people down just for laughs. That moment with Reynolds reportedly shook him to the core, and it marked a serious turning point in their friendship. Reynolds, on the other hand, was all about control, on set and off. Word is, he liked to pull the strings, micromanage every situation, and quietly push out anyone who got too close to stealing his shine. Even though Jackman is a superstar in his own right, he was constantly being pushed into the background by Reynolds' non-stop charm machine. He kept his mouth shut for years. Some say it was out of respect. Others think he stayed quiet just to protect Reynolds' golden boy image. But now, that silence might be about to end. Things went from dramatic to straight-up shocking when Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively, filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Baldoni. That alone sent shockwaves through the industry. But it got way messier when Baldoni clapped back with a $400 million defamation countersuit. He's accusing the power couple of launching a cold-blooded smear campaign to wreck his life and career. And caught in the chaos, Hugh Jackman. At first, Jackman's link to all this seemed random. He was just casually involved in promoting It Ends With Us. the film now tangled in this legal mess. But then came the bombshell. Jackman was officially deposed. Fans and insiders were stunned. Nobody saw that coming. Why would Hugh Jackman, the smooth, charming star who always stayed out of the mess, suddenly be dragged into one of Hollywood's biggest scandals? What could he possibly know that would land him in the middle of legal fire? Turns out, it might not be so innocent after all. In a twist no one saw coming, whispers are flying around Tinseltown that Jackman may have pulled off the ultimate betrayal. Word is, he quietly passed along explosive dirt on Ryan Reynolds. Leaked text messages have surfaced, and they're reportedly loaded with deeply personal info that could wreck Reynolds' career. Sources say we're talking old texts, private convos, even possible receipts showing Reynolds' alleged behind-the-scenes manipulation. This ain't just tabloid fluff. It's the kind of bombshell that could blow up the clean-cut image Reynolds has been selling for years. He's built that brand carefully, and now it's hanging by a thread. With Jackman's long history working alongside Reynolds and having ties to both sides of this legal war, he's suddenly a key witness in the case. Legal insiders are saying Jackman's testimony could be the deal breaker. He might be the one who finally tips the scales. He was reportedly present during tense moments between Reynolds and Baldon and even saw firsthand just how far Reynolds might have gone to protect his shine and take someone else down. For over 10 years, Jackman played the loyal sidekick to Reynolds, always smiling, always playing along. But that chapter, it's officially closed. Insiders say Jackman has completely cut ties. No more playful jabs, no more scripted feuds, and definitely no more cover-ups. And for Reynolds, that's a huge problem, because if there's anyone who knows what's really going on behind that polished charm, it's Hugh Jackman. Justin Baldoni's lawsuit reads like a full-blown Hollywood horror flick, except it's real, and it's shaking the industry to its core. According to his claims, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds didn't just have beef, they allegedly launched a calculated attack to wipe out his career, painting him as some kind of predator. The heart of the accusations? Allegedly inappropriate comments Baldoni supposedly made about Blake's weight and the use of sexual language in professional settings. But Baldoni isn't backing down. He's flat out denying everything. He says the comments were either twisted beyond recognition or never happened at all. Now the entire situation is spiraling, and with Jackman stepping away from Reynolds and standing close to the action, the truth might be closer than anyone expected. Nobody ever thought a joke-cracking superhero parody would end up at the center of a serious courtroom storm. But here we are. Somewhere between the fantasy and the fallout, a strange connection started popping up as lawyers kept digging into the chaos surrounding It Ends With Us. That trail, it led back to one of Reynolds' lesser-known roles, a caped smartmouth known for crossing lines and making folks squirm with his slick, offbeat comments. At first, it seemed harmless, a throwaway role, but the deeper people looked, the weirder it got. Observers started catching on to creepy similarities. The smirks, the weird timing of certain jokes, the body language. It all felt a little too close to the whispers coming from behind the scenes. Critics started wondering, was this character just fiction, or was it based on someone real? Fans began combing through old forums and interview clips, and suddenly a darker picture started to form. That character had moments. Jokes about gender roles and power games that hit way too close to home now. Stuff that once made people laugh, it's now raising eyebrows. What makes this whole case even more disturbing? It's not just some private clash between celebs. It's the claim that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds used their Hollywood power to launch a full-on smear campaign. According to the lawsuit, they didn't just tell their side, they allegedly pushed the story everywhere, making sure the industry turned its back on Baldoni before he even had a chance to defend himself. This wasn't some messy misunderstanding. It was allegedly a cold, calculated takedown, and it worked. The lawsuit paints a brutal picture. Baldoni's career went into a tailspin, his name dragged through the mud, and scandal completely drowning out his work. It was ruthless. One minute, he was a respected actor-director. The next, he was surrounded by whispers, blacklisted from major deals, and struggling to clear his name. Now, the legal fight is heating up, with Baldoni demanding justice, not just for his reputation, but for the emotional wreckage this has caused him. And just when it couldn't get messier, Baldoni's legal team dropped a bombshell allegation. They claim Reynolds added a new character to Deadpool and Wolverine, a so-called parody named Nice Pool, who was allegedly created just to mock Baldoni. If that's true, it means Reynolds might have used a billion-dollar movie to publicly clap back at a legal rival. That's not just shady, it's next-level revenge. Right on the big screen. Jackman's upcoming deposition might be the moment everything shifts. Was Nice Pool just a harmless gag or a sneaky, spiteful jab? And more importantly, did Jackman know about it while filming? Did Reynolds pull the strings behind the scenes on purpose? Jackman's answers could flip the whole case on its head, and this time, staying silent isn't an option. While he originally looked like he had Reynolds and Lively's backs, the latest moves suggest he's switching lanes. Insiders say Jackman's gone quiet, no longer rushing to defend Reynolds. And rumor has it, he's now working with both legal teams. After years of being the punchline, the loyal sidekick, the brand booster, Jackman's reportedly had enough. He's stepping out, not as Reynolds' ride or die, but as a man who's seen everything, kept his mouth shut too long, and might finally be ready to speak the truth. Reynolds has spent years building that squeaky clean public image, equal parts funny guy, sweet husband, and relatable celeb. But now that Jackman's cracking the silence, that image is wobbling, hard. The allegations swirling around Reynolds are no joke. Bullying, power plays, and behind-the-scenes sabotage. And if Jackman backs even one of those claims, it could deal a massive blow to Reynolds' career, not just with fans, but with the industry that's long seen him as untouchable. Jackman's sudden divorce after 27 years of marriage sent shockwaves through Hollywood. On the surface, it was framed as peaceful, but the timing? Way too suspicious. It came right as whispers about his personal life started heating up. And it's got people asking, was this just a breakup or the start of something way bigger? Is Jackman hiding something that's finally bubbling to the surface? Or is this split the first domino in a much larger reckoning that's about to shake his whole world? For years, Jackman and Reynolds' friendship was a Hollywood highlight reel, full of clever jokes, playful shade, and fan-favorite bromance energy. Their chemistry was so tight, people always wondered, was it just for show, or was there more going on behind the scenes? Now, insiders are saying Jackman, freshly out of a decades-long marriage, might be ready to cut off more than just his past. He may be gearing up to walk away from Reynolds, too. Could this divorce be more than just personal? Could it be symbolic, his way of stepping out of a friendship that's been tightly tied to his public image for years? The idea that Jackman's sudden shift isn't just about his divorce is picking up serious steam. Rumors are flying that for years Jackman may have put up with, or even helped cover, Reynolds' alleged controlling ways just to keep up Hollywood's favorite bromance act. But now, with his marriage over and his bond with Reynolds cracking, it looks like Jackman might finally be ready to break free from that carefully staged image and go find his real voice. In Hollywood, fitting the perfect narrative is part of the game. Pair up, play the part, keep the fans happy, and Jackman stepping away from Reynolds might be more than a falling out. It could be a power move to reclaim who he really is, away from all the scripted laughs. And right in the middle of all this chaos, Jackman's brand new public romance with Sutton Foster. Some are calling it a fresh start, but others aren't buying it. They say it looks way too convenient, like a shiny distraction meant to pull eyes away from the messy breakup and his unraveling bromance with Reynolds. Could this sudden love story be part of the Hollywood playbook? A rebranding effort? One thing's clear, Jackman, once deeply tied to Reynolds' spotlight, might be trying to break away from the shadows and finally step into a story that's all his own. No scripts, no sidekick roles, just Hugh. For Reynolds, this storm isn't just hitting home, it's hitting his career too. He's knee-deep in a lawsuit that's pulling back the curtain on his private life, in ways he probably never wanted the world to see. Now, with Jackman tangled in the legal mess, people are starting to question why he's suddenly making moves. Is Jackman protecting himself? Or is this some quiet payback for a falling out that flew under the radar for years? Could he really be turning on Reynolds right when things are already falling apart? It's starting to look like Jackman's sending a clear message. He's done playing the role of the loyal sidekick, that long-running, carefully curated bromance. He's ready to walk away from it, for good. But Reynolds isn't dodging the spotlight either. As Jackman faces wild speculation, Reynolds is dealing with his own fair share of whispers. His picture-perfect marriage with Blake Lively has always been the subject of gossip, and now those rumors are picking up heat. Sure, they act like the dream couple in public, but insiders claim the cracks have been there for a while. And here's the shocker. Sources say Blake's allegedly been caught up in an emotional affair with actor Justin Baldoni. Some believe the whole thing might even be a smokescreen, a way to shift attention off of whatever Reynolds might be hiding in the background. The truth? It's getting harder and harder to tell where the act ends and where the real drama begins. The timing of this rumored affair, way too suspicious, especially now when Reynolds' personal life is under a magnifying glass like never before. Reynolds built his whole career on being the funny, sarcastic family man, the devoted husband, the cool dad, the guy next door. But now, that squeaky clean image is showing cracks. The whispers around Blake Lively's alleged emotional connection with Justin Baldoni are stirring up uncomfortable questions. Some are wondering, if Reynolds has been hiding parts of himself for years, could Lively's affair actually be a calculated move? A distraction to keep the spotlight away from what's really going on? There's even louder talk in certain circles that Blake might be acting as a beard, a term used in Hollywood for someone who enters into a relationship to help shield the real truth about their partner's identity. Could that be what's behind their picture-perfect marriage? And to make it even messier, there's the long-running curiosity about Jackman and Reynolds' bond. Fans have joked for years about their bromance. But now, some are wondering if there was more hiding beneath the surface. Was their playful rivalry just a smokescreen for something deeper? If Jackman's finally stepping up and drawing a line, especially while Reynolds is caught in legal fire, it might be about more than just loyalty. It could flip the entire script on how we see their friendship and what it may have really been all along. This mess isn't just threatening careers, it's tearing open personal lives in ways neither Jackman nor Reynolds ever saw coming. Reynolds isn't just another movie star, he's a machine, a walking brand, a media mastermind. He spent years crafting an image so slick, so perfectly managed, that it made him nearly untouchable. But now, that very control might be what finally brings him down. Because if Hugh Jackman takes the stand, the world could finally see the side of Reynolds he's worked so hard to keep in the dark. The question isn't if Jackman will speak anymore, it's when. And once he does, Hollywood and Ryan Reynolds might not be able to bounce back. But here's where things get even more twisted. Despite all the drama, Jackman has reportedly thrown his support, quietly but clearly, behind the Hollywood power couple. Multiple insiders claim he's backing Blake and Ryan behind the scenes, even while keeping up the appearance of staying neutral. He hasn't said anything publicly. He hasn't shown up in court. But the whispers are getting louder. People want to know, where does Jackman really stand? What's wild is that he's gone from being a background player in this saga to quietly aligning himself with the very couple at the center of the storm. While others are running from the heat, Jackman might just be stepping closer to the fire. Jackman's quiet but clear alignment with Blake Lively's accusations and his steady support for the couple has caught a lot of people off guard. In a town where loyalty often feels like just another act, this move feels way more personal and way more calculated. He hasn't made any big speeches or posted dramatic statements, but don't mistake the silence for weakness. Insiders say Jackman's hush-hush approach is loud in all the right circles. In this case, silence speaks louder than any press release, and everyone close to the situation knows it. As a longtime confidant of Ryan Reynolds, Jackman's role in all this is way bigger than it seems on the surface. People familiar with the behind-the-scenes drama say Jackman wasn't just some bystander. He knew about the growing tension on the film that sparked the lawsuit, and he was part of the private conversations happening in the background. Being close to both Reynolds and Lively gives Jackman a front-row seat to the full story. Details the public hasn't even begun to hear. And yet, despite all that insider access, he's kept things low-key in public. No statements, no interviews, no social media commentary. But his quiet moves, and more importantly, what he hasn't done, are raising eyebrows everywhere. Multiple sources say Jackman's been quietly backing Reynolds and Lively behind closed doors. But you won't catch him stepping in front of the cameras to say it out loud. His low-key support has definitely made waves in the industry, and now people are starting to ask, why hasn't he come forward in a more direct way? This quiet loyalty is raising some serious eyebrows among insiders who know how much weight Jackman's voice carries. He's a giant in the business, not just on screen, but behind the scenes too. If anyone could have brought some balance or calmed the chaos, it's him. Some folks say all he had to do was drop a simple public statement, something like urging patience, calling for fairness, maybe even reminding people not to jump to conclusions. But Jackman didn't do that. Instead, he went with a careful, almost ghost-like response. No comments on the accusations, no public defense, no visible support for anyone caught in the legal storm. That move, it's rubbed some people the wrong way. Sure, legal battles are tricky. Not everyone wants to speak up when things get messy, but when the fight involves your closest friends and you've been right there in the mix, the silence starts to look more like a strategy. And to some, that silence feels a little too calculated, like Jackman's trying to stay clean while staying close to the fire. Jackman knows the power his voice holds in Hollywood. He's not just another actor. He's someone who can shift public opinion with a single sentence, someone who could have brought real perspective to this spiraling mess. What's most striking isn't just his quiet support of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, it's that he's reportedly willing to be deposed in the legal case. That's not just standing by your friends, that's stepping into the fire. In an industry where most folks stay far, far away from lawsuits, Jackman's eagerness to testify says a lot. This isn't about casual loyalty, it's about real conviction. He seems to believe deeply in Lively's side of the story. But that's where things get complicated. Jackman's always been seen as the moral compass in a scandal-soaked industry. Fans love him because he's different, humble, grounded, real. In a world where every other star seems to have skeletons, Jackman was the one guy who felt untouchable. Now though, his behind-the-scenes involvement is starting to raise red flags. The man who once stood above the noise is suddenly knee-deep in it, and it's forcing people to ask, has he changed? Or has he just finally shown his cards? Because in this situation, his silence, his choices, and even his loyalty are starting to hint at a different truth. One where image might matter more than integrity, and where even the good guy might choose friendship over facts. What's even harder to ignore in all this? The double standard that's staring everyone right in the face. If the roles were flipped, if a male producer had made false claims about a female actor, the backlash would have been instant. Media frenzy, hashtags, headlines, and nonstop calls for justice. People would be rallying left and right. Women in Hollywood have been dragged for far less, and history shows that when their reputations are unfairly attacked, there's usually a strong wave of support. But now, with men allegedly being targeted by false claims, the energy is completely different. No outrage, no headlines screaming for accountability, no viral movements demanding the truth. It's like the industry's willing to look the other way, because somehow, when it's men on the receiving end, it just doesn't feel urgent enough to call out. And that's what makes Jackman's role in all this even more important. He has the voice, the reach, the respect to say something. Anything. He could shine a light on what's happening, defend those who may have been wrongly accused, and help shift the silence into real conversation. In a place like Hollywood, where image often trumps truth, Jackman has the chance to show that honesty still matters. That doing the right thing isn't about sides or saving face. It's about standing up when it counts, especially when no one else is. But instead of stepping up, Jackman's chosen to hang back, watching it all unfold from the sidelines like he's waiting for the storm to blow over. His silence, it's loud. And for fans who thought they knew him, it's a major wake-up call. At what point does protecting your image, your friendships, or your career come before doing what's right? That's the question circling now. Jackman's refusal to face this head-on has people wondering, has he traded his integrity for loyalty? More and more folks are asking the same thing. Why is Jackman staying so committed to backing Reynolds and Lively? Sure, their long-standing friendship explains some of it. Reynolds was there for Jackman during some tough moments, especially during the emotional fallout of his divorce. Maybe Jackman feels like he owes him. Maybe this is just him returning the favor, but others think it runs deeper. There's speculation that Jackman may know something the public doesn't. Maybe there's information, something that supports Lively's claims, that Jackman's seen firsthand. And if that's true, his silence isn't just about loyalty, it's about protecting the truth that hasn't come out yet. Despite Jackman's strong backing, Lively's case is starting to hit a serious wall, and it's a big one: lack of solid proof. In high-stakes legal showdowns like this, emotion alone doesn't cut it. You need receipts, witnesses, and multiple voices to back up the story. But so far, Lively hasn't been able to bring that kind of evidence to the table, and it's leaving her more exposed by the day. What once looked like a clear-cut case is now teetering. Instead of cold, hard facts, Lively's team is leaning heavily on the emotional impact of her story. But in a case this public and this messy, feelings don't always win. Facts do. One major red flag? The notes from the intimacy coordinator, the very person Lively reportedly refused to meet with. That refusal is now coming back to bite. With no extra witnesses and little outside confirmation, her claims are being picked apart and questioned. At first, Lively had massive support. Fans, media, even some in the industry were standing with her. The accusations against Justin Baldoni were taken seriously, and people were quick to rally. But then Baldoni's side fired back, with counter-evidence and a whole different version of events. Now, the story has shifted. Public opinion, once firmly in Blake Lively's corner, is now hanging by a thread. The shift is most obvious on social media, where the loudest voices that used to cheer her on are now hitting pause, asking tough questions she hasn't answered. Supporters who once defended her without hesitation are beginning to wonder, if her case is as strong as she says, where's the backup? Why aren't more people stepping forward? And as Justin Baldoni's team continues dropping counter-evidence, the cracks in her narrative are only getting wider. Even with Hugh Jackman still standing in her corner, Lively's facing a serious uphill climb. In the court of public opinion and the courtroom, she needs more than just silent loyalty. She needs proof, receipts, witnesses, something to shift the weight back in her favor. Because right now, this legal battle is tilting and it's not looking good. So what's next for Lively, Reynolds, Jackman, and Baldoni? Will the truth finally come out? Or will more secrets rise to the surface? If you want to keep up with the latest twists in this wild Hollywood saga, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.